What is up, guys? It is your boy T Macaroni, and I am back for another video. And we are just a little bit over a day away from the full release of the Union Arena TCG in NA. And I can't wait. I can't wait to get all the cards, all the alt arts, and build all the decks that I want to do without any issues. I have a couple of decks built up so far, but still missing a few pieces for some of the decks. So can't wait for the full release. But if you guys want to know what is the best deck for you to be building so you can be at the most competitive level of this game, look no further. So this is going to be my tier list, my take. Lot of games played so far, a lot of like play testing with a variety of people from my locals to online and just discussing, and this is what I've taken away. So if you guys like what I'm doing here, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We are almost at the 100, just a little bit more, 5 more away at the time of this video. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe, share it to your friends and all of that. But without any more dilly-dallying, let's get into the tier list. The first deck, as you guys can see on the screen, is going to be Yellow Yawatch. And I personally think, from all the playtesting and from everything that I've labbed and just the overall strategy, I think this deck can easily sit comfy in the S tier. I think the deck is really strong. As you guys see here, I do have Nodt by itself, but I will talk about that in a little bit here. But if you mix it with the Nodt package, depending on your ratios and depending on how you build it, it can be very strong. Obviously, I have a deck profile with just Yawatch and Jugram, which is also very strong by itself, a lot more consistent, especially when you use the Silburn and the Bass Bees to push damage. Like, you can get up to some crazy turns with the deck. I just think Yawatch and Jugram are very strong cards. Yellow is just very good and not only stealing tempo, but being aggressive as well. So that for that reason, I think it's a top above the rest and can sit comfortably in S tier. Next deck, as I was mentioning a little bit earlier, is Purple Bleach. Now, Purple Bleach, it falls under the category of, yes, you can run Renji Byakuya, yes, you can run just Byakuya Ichigo or Ichigo Rukia. I think Purple Bleach on a whole is very strong. I think just, even though it did lose its main consistency engine, I still think it is pretty solid overall. Just being able to remove anything off of board willy-nilly, and not only that, you do have also access to the Getsuga Tensho and all that draw power, so your deck is insanely consistent. I think for that reason, I think it can also put Bleach in the S tier category, just because it does things very efficiently, very well. Sometimes you will have games where you are not in the best position in trash, but one like little draw spell or one like instance of Uryu draw one, trash one will just get you there. Plus, it has some great late game finishers. One of the best in being Byakuya. You can do some shenanigans when you use your Bankai to be able to restand and then do Byakuya combos with the Ichigo from the main set. Just very strong strategy overall, so I think it can sit comfy in the S tier. The next deck I want to talk about is 13 Court Guards. This deck is being slept on. I think this deck is very good into the metagame. Being able to ramp up and just saying, hey, all of those guys I used to ramp up, I can just bring them to the front line now, and I'm swinging for egregious numbers. If you combo with that with the Unohana strategy of being able to free play four energy targets, I think the deck is super good at doing them. And not to mention, probably the best powerhouse in Kenpachi. That card is just scary. Being able to pop a 4K just willy-nilly is no joke. So I definitely think Yama has a lot of strengths. The only downside to Yama that I feel that why I would not put Yama in the S tier is just because sometimes you can have games where you just don't see your raid targets. Raid targets are super key to this strategy. Otherwise, you are just running a bunch of guys that are not really doing anything, don't have any synergy. You're just ramping for nothing. So for that reason, I'm going to put Yama in the A tier for the NA meta. I still think it's a strong deck. I still think it can do some justice, but it's not there just yet. So as you guys can see, I did, for other strategies, I did not put their decks separately here. I tried to keep them together, but Asnod is a special one I have to talk about, because Asnod by itself can hold its own as a boss monster. For other strategies, like, the only exception to this would be Byakuya, just because he has impact on the body, but Asnod is the same thing, but he also rests a 3k as well. 3k is the threshold that you want to be at to be doing things when it comes to units, and Asnod with impact as well is basically taking two things out of the game, allowing you to press and do really strong tempo shenanigans where you can just accelerate your gameplay. Mix that in with the Bomberman stuff, being able to KO rested blockers, and with the Baz B being able to get in free double damage. It is a very strong strategy that I think can hold its own. It definitely can hold its own, but I also don't think it's there yet. I think just because of not having the big boss monsters such as Jugram and Yawatch, I think it's still lacking a little bit. It needs just a little bit more to get there. So I will put it comfy in the B tier. Definitely can hold its own. You can bring this to a locals and be happy with it, and no problem. Man, when I tell you, I don't want to talk about this deck. If you're in the community Discord, you know for a fact what my thoughts are on this deck. Genthru or Bomberman is a deck that is solid. Like, it fundamentally, it should work, because you have a boss monster that can basically KO anything on board. It just has to meet a threshold, which for whatever reason the threshold is 3k. But the thing that holds Genthru back is the supporting cards. Yes, Bara is pretty good at being able to check and minus 1000. Yes, you have ways to top deck manipulate, which you can get there, but if you see none of that, it just falters. And 95% of the time, all these boss monsters, that the targets that you do want to get rid of, they're at the 4k BP point. So you can't actually get rid of them. Pretty much every other boss monster in the game can somehow deal with 4Ks. And the worst part about it is, if you don't see the cards that you need to see, like your bomber cards, then the deck kind of just folds, just because your removal is on a 3-2, where every other removal is on a 4-1 or a 5-1. So I think for that reason, I'm going to put Bomberman. Initially, when I did this, I had Bomberman in A tier because I thought it was going to be really, really good. But after playing more, and just because of the inconsistencies, even more so inconsistent than pretty much any deck on this list, I'm just going to put Bomberman in B tier. I don't think it has enough to get there yet. I think it needs more support cards. I think it needs more bomber cards to make the overall strategy just good. And I think it definitely needs more BP reduction, so you can actually be able to get those cards to that threshold where you can use bomber efficiently. Next deck I want to talk about is Blue Item Select, or Blue Specified Slot. I think this deck is good. It is very fun. Do I think it's competitive? I think it's lacking, because you only most of the thresholds for it are 4 item slots to get damage 2 or impact 1 on the Gon. But I think it's still missing a lot. It doesn't have enough tools or enough targets for the item slot to get all those effects consistently. Yes, you can go up to maximum hand size of 15, but I just don't think it's there as of yet. Maybe in set 2, maybe if we get that blue planet, maybe that will help the deck a little bit more. But when you have 4 targets that you have to see, and then you're only able to run one of those targets, or 2 or maximum 3, I don't think it's as good. So I'm going to have to put it in the C tier. Chrollo, Illumi, I think the pure Phantom Troops deck, I don't think is a good deck. You need to mix it with the Illumi and the Zoldyck package, especially Illumi and Silva. I think those cards are just powerhouses. I'm going to put Chrollo, Illumi specifically in the A tier. I think it's a very solid deck, very strong deck. Being able to go into an early Silva, put it in the backline, and having it when you need to remove a boss monster is just really, really strong. Having Impact and Snipe is super busted. Just being able to remove something just off the board completely is very strong. The other thing as well, Chrollo being able to reuse those one-play abilities. A lot of people like to sit on low-cost units and think they're safe. When you combine that with Feitan or, for example, the Frankie, the minus 500 BP to the board, and you're doing that 2 times and then using the Feitan to KO something, I think that's just a very strong strategy. Also, being able to use the card where it's like you can use the on play of something again and then give something minus, I believe it's 3,000, is just very strong as well. So for that reason, I think as a tempo deck, Chrollo Illumi definitely can go and sit in the A tier pretty. The next deck is my baby, my personal favorite of most decks on here outside of Yellow Yawatch is Gon and Friends. I think it's a very strong aggressive strategy. Depending on your build, I think especially because we are in a DP reduction heavy format with Purple Bleach, I think this card is gonna, this deck is gonna do really well. It does really well into Purple Bleach, especially if you're playing Kahlua. Kahlua just is able to say, hey, that whole DP minus strategy, just get it out of here. And as you can see, these 3 decks on the right hand side are both DP reduction effects, so you can just be like, all right, I don't want to deal with any of that. You get consistent attacking with the Kahlua. You get consistent impact with the 3/1 Gon. You have it with the 2/1 Kurapika. You have it with just pretty much the boss monster in the starter deck Gon as well. So for that reason, I'm gonna comfortably put it in A tier. I would even go so to put it over Chrollo Illumi, just because of this matchup right here specifically is basically a non-game. Once those Kahluas come on board, they can't really do much, and it has a very good matchup into probably the best deck in the format. Arguably, I think these two are up top are just like pretty much the same. It just depends on who can see what first, but this has a really good matchup into this, so that's why I can say comfortably I can put this over here. And then finally, probably the last deck that will be going up into the S tier, bar none, is Kurapika. I think Kurapika over Yellow Yawatch and Purple Bleach is the best deck in the format, bar none. I think the deck is just really, really strong. Not only do you have access to good ramp, you have pretty much the best removal in the game in Emperor of Time. Snipe as a keyword is probably the most busted keyword in Union Arena right now. Just being able to remove attack into big bodies and just getting them off the board without any retaliation or anything like that is super huge. Being able to have Impact 1 on Snipe is even better. That's why Chrollo Illumi is so good with the Silva. But Kurapika can just do that, and being able to run Neon as well. Neon is a powerhouse of a card, and if you get your early Neon into the Kurapikas with your Emperor in Time and all those shenanigans, you're just kind of juicing at that point. So I think Kurapika easily bar none best deck in the format, but always, guys, there is room for debate. Let me know what you guys think the best deck going into the release meta is. I think it's Kurapika. I think these Kurapika, Yawatch, and Purple Bleach are just the 3 best decks going into the release format, but we won't know 100% until we get those tournament results and that data and all of that coming back. So if you are going to Orlando and you want to play any one of these decks, the top 3 or even in the A tier are what I would recommend. Kind of stay away from B and C unless you're just playing for fun. But that is it. My name is T-Mechas once more. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Take it easy, stay safe, stay hydrated, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.